Alright, so I got a request from one of my buddies, and it's pretty much how I do my heat tape. So I'm going to walk through, I'm doing a rack, and I'm just doing some heat tape on it. I don't use any adapters. I cut all my wires, and I forgot the term, but there's a term for what I'm doing. It's pretty much like seasoning it, but what I do is I pre-solder each one of these, because I'm going to actually solder it onto the heat tape. Takes more time, but it's, I don't know, it's a solder. It's such a great connection that it'll have. You know, what's better than soldering it for a connection? So I have a great connection, and I feel more confident. Also, when you solder it onto the heat tape, it does not come off. It is on there. So this is pretty much how I prep it. What I'll do is I already pre-cut everything. I pre-cut my tape. I pre-cut my wires to run from shelf to shelf, because I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna run it in series. Just have it go right through each other. So it'll be hot side going to the other side, and then going to the next shelf, and then on, so that everything is powered. But like I said, I mean, it's so much easier to use the other stuff. I've just had issues where, you know, the heat tape lifts or something, and, you know, then all of a sudden the crimps let go. Since I started doing this, I've never had any issues at all. So there's my two over there. Just keep building up, building up. I think I got two more. So these fancy, easy crimp ones, I cut them off. Adios. Strip, strip, twist. Same thing. Twist. So that's ready to go. So I'll peel it back a little bit. It's gonna have to go like that, you know, on the heat tape. Strip, strip, twist. And, you know, I mean, the other stuff is easier, but it costs money. And I just, you know, I like to save money every opportunity I can. If I can do this while I'm watching Harry Potter and hanging out with my kids, you might as well. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a 4-shelf rack, what I'm turning into 5 shelves, and then it was a gecko rack for 16-quart tubs. You need batteries. I don't have batteries. Mommy's a battery person. She's the one who knows where batteries are. And if she doesn't have them, then we're out. So,
I know the batteries. How do you have the batteries?
As I said, just quick solder.
Mommy's cookie. Mommy's cookie.
Well, I guess you're just gonna have to wait.
You want a candy?
Alright, one more side, and then it'll be time to start prepping. So you gotta prep this, and then you gotta prep the tape. But it's very easy.
It's working. Dad, it's working.
It's working, Mario?
Dad, Mom needs to show that.
He needs to share that?
Yeah.
Well, how about you get to play with it when he's done?
Okay.
Does that work?
Yes, I'll play something cool.
You want to play something cool?
Yeah.
I know there's car games for that. I know that. I'm back. So this is the key thing about this part, right? So you got this copper over here, and then the copper is what feeds power to all these bars that will heat up and produce heat. So there's plastic on it. So I use this edge, right? Kind of looks like an X-Acto edge, and I literally shave a little bit of the plastic off, and then I'll let it cool off. They're in that little box. David knows though, or someone's got to know where the case is.
What?
The case for that. Where's the case for that?
That?
The book bag or whatever it is.
They play with it and they took out all the games, so mommy, nobody knows where it is.
Oh, that sucks then.
Sorry guys.
Alright. So now, next part. It's cooled off. So now what I'm going to do, this is where it gets tricky. If you heat up this copper too much, it will melt. As well as, it'll melt the plastic, and the copper ribbon will actually lift up. So you kind of get used to it. So I'm gonna just rub it around, and then I'm gonna I put a little bit of solder on this thing, and then once I have it, see how it's sticking? Nice picture. Once it's sticking, then I make sure it's on there tight, and I go to the next one. So same thing, rub it around. Now it's sticking. Now it's sticking. So now to make it even easier to solder something on is I actually put more solder and I kind of make this a nice hole, a nice high bead. Because the higher it is and the more solder you have on it, the easier it's going to be. So now we get to this, right? So I literally put this pre-soldered wire right on top, and I push on it with the soldering iron, and it will eventually heat up the solder. You just hold it because you want that solder to set. Once it sets, then it's there. So I'll show you again. I put it on my pre-soldered area. I hold down the soldering iron with a little bit of pressure. It's gonna get through. It'll eventually penetrate. Once it heats it all up, it'll heat it all up, and then it'll sink in, and then you can kind of just move it around, just like how you're regular soldering. So you know it's tight. You hold it so it sets. And that's it. So now this is solid. This ain't going nowhere. I'll put some tape on it. Done. I'll do a couple more before I exit out this video, alright? So, got another piece. I think it's a little bit closer so you can actually see what I'm doing. Alright, so step one. First you want to make sure you have a clean tip on your soldering iron. Alright? I'm going to shave it. See that? I shaved off the plastic on it. It's literally like a hot knife on butter. Alright. Clean that plastic off. Alright. Now start getting my solder on there. Once it sticks, there you go, and that's a great, nice high bead. Do it again over here. Just keep feeding it until it sticks. This is my trick. Let it cool off a little bit. Alright? Let it cool off. Touch it just a little bit, and then add a little more solder to it. So then just add Now this side's done. So since I'm running them in series, I gotta do the other side. Same thing. Just shave it off. Shave it off. Wipe that off. Back with some solder. Heat it up. Add your solder. Heat it up. Add your solder. Now the other stuff works, but this is just, it's not just that it's free, which I like. Well, not free, but those other ones cost like $1 something per side. You know, it takes me no time, and I can do this. I can do this for free, pretty much. I mean, I have the supplies. Now put the wire on, put the solder on, wait for it to melt. Once you see it melt, move it around a little bit, hold. I mean, you can even pre-dip it and then add this, but it's the same difference. As soon as you start seeing it melt, then you move it around all nice, so you know it's a secure solder. Thing back, tight. Alright, so now we're up to the taping stage. Good old electrical tape. And we'll start from one side. Oh, whatever. It doesn't really make a difference. So, all I'm going to do is, now when I put the tape on, I want to make sure this is flat so it doesn't curl. All I do is I add a bunch of tape, just so that the sides aren't exposed. Because God forbid water does get in there somehow, God knows, but I do have 3 children. I want to make sure that every single fire hazard is taken care of. And that's it. Taped. Alright, so it's time to start lining stuff up. So what I do is I'll pre-line it. I'll make a bunch of little pieces so it's just held into place decent. So for example, I'll put one here. slide this all the way down. Put that there. Put that there. So now it's ready for a big piece. So what I'll do is I'll get it, it's all nice and flat. I'll go right to the copper. Slide it all the way down. Rub it tight. Rub it dub dub. That's one. And I'll do that with every shelf. And then I'll just make this extremely, it's just, you know, I won't have to worry about it. I'm using this really super thick duct tape. Not duct tape, duct. Put that there. Line it up. No cross. So that's solid. And 94 degrees. So we're pretty good. Alright, so there she is. All ready to go. Ready, plugged in and working. Everything's tested, everything's hot. And now as soon as I find my other Herpstat probe, I'll be able to, I'm going to separate. With these, I'm going to make the 6 quarts on one zone, and all these 15 or 16 quarts on another probe. So, any questions, just ask. Thanks for watching. Peace.